Bob Woodward made more news than he intended in saying the Washington Post was assembling a journalistic task force to investigate Donald Trump. And the candidate quickly took a shot at the Post owner, Amazon founder, Jeff Bezos.
Every hour we're getting calls from reporters on the Washington Post asking ridiculous questions. And I will tell you, this is owned as a toy by Jeff Bezos, who controls Amazon. Amazon is getting away with murder tax-wise. He's using the Washington Post for power so that the politicians in Washington don't tax Amazon like they should be taxed.
I sat down with a veteran Washington Post editor and author here in D.C. Bob Woodward, welcome.
Thank you.
When the Washington Examiner quoted you in a speech as saying the Washington Post has 20 reporters assigned to investigating Donald Trump, this was widely reported as the paper is determined to dig up dirt on Trump. Fair or unfair?
Unfair. I mean, it's to look at every phase of his life, which is precisely what we're doing. A press release was put out a month ago announcing that the Post is going to be doing this book, and as the reporting proceeds, there will be stories in the newspaper, and that's kind of the focus. And at the same time, we're going to, and as I said, do the same thing on Hillary Clinton.
That, of course, was my next question, was will Hillary Clinton receive the same scrutiny and approximately the same number of articles as the Republican nominee?
Yes, I believe so. It depends on, you know, what we find out. Trump has not been a political public figure, and political public figures get more scrutiny than somebody in business, so there might be more about him, but it depends on what is discovered. But this is the headline on that story that somehow it was to dig up dirt. It is not.
Of course, the fact there'll be a book about Trump tells you something about the media marketplace, but this is what people say they want, for journalism to hold public figures, politicians accountable. But has that also kind of fallen out of fashion in the Twitter age? I mean, if you end up producing 50,000 words or 30,000 words or 60,000 words on Donald Trump, how many people will read that?
Well, that's up to them, but it's important that it be available. You don't want people going into the voting booth in November and saying, I really couldn't find out who these people are. I couldn't really discover what Hillary Clinton did in her Senate years, or as Secretary of State, or as First Lady. Gee, I don't understand how Donald Trump got in the casino business. How successful was he? Where did he have his casinos? Who ran them? What were these bankruptcies or near bankruptcies about, and so forth, and that will be available to people. I think.
Has the current level of reporting been inadequate in your view?
I think we can always do better, and if there's a theme line in all of this, if you were to look at my emails, you would see people keep saying, well, we didn't know enough about Bill Clinton before he became president. We didn't know enough about George W. Bush. We didn't know enough about Obama.
And is that a fair criticism that Obama in 2008 did not get the kind of intensified media scrutiny that, for example, Donald Trump seems to be getting in this cycle?
A lot of people feel that, and
how do you feel?
I feel we can always do more. And I think I think it literally is impossible to find out too much about these people, and whether everyone's going to pay attention to it or be interested or read a long article or read a book, it is our job. I remember Katharine Graham, the former owner publisher of the Washington Post, when we were in the midst of the Nixon case, and I was talking to her about, you know, where's this going, what does it mean, and so forth, and she raised the question, and it was exactly the right question. Why do we dig into these things when it's hard and people are uncomfortable that we're doing this? And she said, because that's the business we're in.
Well, since you bring up Watergate and Nixon, and you've said that in Hillary Clinton's private email there are at least echoes of Watergate, but in that speech to a trade group, you were also quoted as saying, I don't think anyone feels there was intent on her part to distribute classified information in a way that was illegal or jeopardized security. But how do you know that before the investigation's done?
Well, I talked to people about it. President Obama himself has said there was no intent, that this was careless. I mean,
he's going to defend his fellow Democrats.
Of course he is, and there are still, I've always said, there are questions about the email investigation, and I think they should be answered certainly before the election. But the question of intent and whether it was careless or not, I don't think anyone has suggested that Hillary Clinton was putting out classified information so people, the Russians or the Chinese or somebody could read that. The purpose was efficiency and maybe to keep it from others. It was not to distribute classified information. I don't think her severest critic has suggested that. What they have said is there was negligence here, and that's part of the investigation.
Trump reacted last week by criticizing Jeff Bezos, saying that the Amazon founder bought the Washington Post to increase his influence in Washington and help further Amazon's corporate interests. I haven't seen any evidence of that. But how involved is Bezos in newsroom decisions such as these investigations of the presidential candidates?
Bezos is, Marty Barron put out a statement saying... Marty
Barron, the Post executive editor.
Right, saying that it's his, Barron's decision to do this, to look at all of the candidates. I've talked to Bezos about this, and he said it's just got to be bipartisan, it has to be aggressive, and he has said that the resources will be available to do this. It's echoing in a different way what Katharine Graham said. We do this because this is the business we're in.
And we'll see where these journalistic efforts lead. Bob Woodward, thanks very much for joining us.